This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We are off and running on a Monday evening here on VSiN PrimeTime alongside Matt Youmans. I am Tim Murray. We're live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas. And what is this? We've got live basketball going on, Matt.
I love it.
Is this the NCAA tournament? What's happening here on a Monday evening?
It doesn't have to be the NCAA tournament. This is a college basketball crown, and there is a championship at stake and games you can bet on, Tim, during the afternoon on Monday and Tuesday. So, hey, I like it.
Every day this week we can bet on college basketball, so we love it. Right now, if you're wondering, Boise State and George Washington going head-to-head in an epic showdown at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Earlier today, it was Butler beating Utah 86-84.
What a game, by the way. Did you watch it?
I missed the end of it. I saw that Butler came back.
That was a hell of a game. Utah was up 10 in the second half. Butler rallied, took a 4-point lead, and it was tied late. Butler goes up 3, and then Gabe Madsen of Utah, who's got, by the way, 314 career three-pointers, got open off an inbounds play, buried a 3 to tie it again, and then Pierre Brooks, the transfer from Michigan State, takes the ball from the top of the lane, drives down through the heart of the lane to the rim, and scores with 3 seconds to go. Utah misses a last-second shot. That was a hell of a game, 86-84.
You know, I want to I heard the fellas talking about it as they signed off. So this tournament, if you're not aware, it's a 16-team field that'll take place here in Las Vegas all week long. Starting today, championship will be on Sunday afternoon. They'll transition over to T-Mobile for the semifinals on Saturday. And don't worry, will not conflict. Obviously, they're not dummies with the Final Four. And then the championship will be on Sunday, Matt. But what's interesting is you've seen massive movement to the over on all of these games. Utah Butler opened 153.5, closed 158.5, over hits. And I saw, how about this? Derek Stevens, and Circa is a partner of The Crown. You're seeing the commercials out there. I saw Derek. He doesn't do this often, ladies and gentlemen. So when he does it, maybe take notice. Derek's giving out plays. He was tweeting out plays today.
Kidding.
Yes,
He was?
Swear. He said,
I saw the photo. I didn't see the pics.
At Derek J. Stevens, he said, took over 74 first half and over 157 for the first game. The tout, Derek Stevens, giving out winners to the people because both of those came home with ease. We'll see if this total does come home. But look, I'll get to your thoughts on this game and this tournament here in just a bit. But look, we love college basketball. And, it's funny because for someone who loves bowl games as much as I do, I don't know if I could be hypocritical and say I don't care about this. So maybe I need to get into it a little bit here.
I like it. You just have, first of all, you got to be a college basketball junkie to love this. If you don't love college hoops, you're not going to love a tournament like this, right? Because it's not the NCAA tournament. You're not used to it. It's not the NIT. But, hey, you got 16 teams here in Vegas. And it feels like sort of a big deal. And I say sort of a big deal because it doesn't feel like a big deal. But when you got games being played, and it's the center of the sports world right now. If you look out here at the sports book, there are 3 people here, and I believe all 3 are watching the college basketball crown game. I know Doug Kazarian is because we got action on it. Doug's got a booth out there. But
Doug, are you live betting this game right now?
He was trying to, but he couldn't get a number on it. We got Boise State, Nebraska on a money line parlay. We're going to talk about the Nebraska game coming up. I did put Boise -8 up on VSiN Pro, and also the total on a game we're going to watch here later tonight. But Tim, if you're fired up over college hoops, you just watched the NCAA tournament the last 2 weeks. You do have some big name teams here: Boise State, Utah. How about Villanova tomorrow with Eric Dixon, the big East leading scorer, is going to play in this tournament. So I think it's actually pretty cool.
Kevin Willard was sitting there in the stands, that traitor.
Watching his new team.
Yeah.
Former Maryland coach watching his new Villanova team. Bottom line is, this is a betting network. These are big-time college basketball programs. There's a betting lineup, and you can watch them and play them, and that's what we're going to be doing here this week with the College Basketball Crown. And like you said, Circa Resort and Casino is one of the founding sponsors of this tournament, and that doesn't hurt as well. We got a photo of Derek Stevens from the tournament.
We did. Yeah, well, we'll see if we can get that up for you guys. But I want to talk to Johnny Avello about this. He's going to join us at 8 o'clock Eastern because I believe there are some books not booking the Crown because it is not an NCAA tournament-sanctioned event. So if you're in
I'm not sure why that would matter.
I don't either. But I was texting with a buddy who lives in Maryland that has legal sports betting, and he said he was unable to get any Crown lines. So if you're in a state that does not have it, let us know. You can always tweet the show at Matt Youmans 247 at 1 Tim Murray. Got a busy NBA card today. More an important one for me and JVT and our Wizards win total under as the Heat take on those lovely Washington Wizards. Can the Grizzlies finally beat a team with a pulse as they host the Boston Celtics? And late night, we've got Lakers and Rockets. Baseball is well underway. The Cincinnati Reds in action right now out there in Cincinnati taking on the Texas Rangers. But let's get to it. Let's get the people warmed up like we always do. Let's hit our game of the night.
The lights are on and the stakes are high. It's the primetime game of the night.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to apologize. You got two college basketball junkies talking to you right now. We're having a little bit of withdrawals after the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 weekends.
That's the truth.
And we got games on right now. We got betting lines.
We got action. Yeah.
So, Mr. Youmans, the floor is yours. Our game of the night is going to be a game that you have a bet on. Nebraska, Arizona State, tip-off roughly around 8:30 Eastern. Nebraska, Arizona State will be on television, too. All these games on FS1.
FS1, our buddy Tim Brando.
Yeah, Uncle Tim out there.
The action.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get Tim on the show. You going to be here again tomorrow, by the way?
I believe Mr. Von Tobel will be on the program tomorrow.
Okay, but Tim Brando calling the action out there. And it feels like a big game when Tim Brando calls it.
Him and Donnie Marshall calling this one.
Actually, got some action on Boise State right now. Played a Boise-Nebraska moneyline parlay. Nebraska, a 6-point favorite. Boise was a 9-point favorite at some spots, anywhere from 8 to 9. And also played over 154.5 in Nebraska, Arizona State. So I need Nebraska to win over the total. Nebraska winning a little bit more important to me, Tim. Because the total had been played up a little bit by the time I got to it at 154.5. And you and I talked about this over the weekend a little bit. This college basketball crown tournament is probably going to be a showcase for the players where the coaches want the players to go out and have fun, showcase their skills. It's not going to be a situation like an NCAA tournament game where coaches are trying to micromanage each possession and take the air out of the ball. Just go out and have fun, right? Play. And it's going to be, you think it's going to be loose. And I know this, Arizona State's going to have trouble on the defensive end of the floor tonight because I believe only 7 players are going to suit up for the Sun Devils tonight. You've got, I read a lot about this tournament last night, trying to figure out who's going to play and who's not. There are several players who are in the transfer portal who are still playing for their teams in this college basketball crown tournament. One of those is not Sainon, Jason Sainon, that's his name, from Arizona State, who is transferring to St. John's.
Yep, he's gone.
Yeah,
PJ Freeman was kicked off the team. He's gone.
Freeman's long gone.
Jaden Quaintance, I believe, is out. Austin Nunez also transferring out.
Sainon is already gone to St. John's.
Yes.
And he committed to St. John's, so he's definitely out. So some of the players who are in the transfer portal can still play in this tournament and play in these games. But and you saw that with Utah earlier today. Had several players in the portal who were on the floor for the Utes. But Sun Devils are going to be shorthanded tonight. I think they've got 7 or 8 players and missing a few of their key guys. So they're going to have troubles on the defensive end of the floor. Aside from that, Tim, we know the 2 coaches in this game for Nebraska and Arizona State are fine with letting their guys run up and down and fire away. So over 154.5 in Nebraska on a money line parlay with Boise.
All right, there we go. Little crown action, baby. Let's get it done. I'm conducting a science experiment, and I am not recommending you tail on this. And I obviously, as I was sitting there watching Utah Butler earlier today, Matt, I said to myself, man, these guys aren't going to play any defense, are they? And I just decided, let's put a little bit on over on all 3 games and see how we do. once again, not the most scientific and probably best way to do it, but I've got a little over here, which doesn't seem to be trending towards the over in Boise State, George Washington, and over in the next two as well. So we will see.
As you mentioned, the Butler win over Utah, 86-84. That was actually a hell of a game. I watched pretty much the whole thing today. Flies over the total of 158.5, Tim. That total opened around 154.
Yep.
So overs, that angle worked in that game. And Utah actually bet up to a 3.5-point favorite. It was 1.5 overnight. And Butler, the underdog Bulldogs, got the money there. Got a message here from Brent, the Brown Bomber, best friend of the Shrews. And he says, no college basketball crown lines in Ohio on DraftKings, ESPN Bet, or Bet365. So I guess that must be true in a lot of states around the country. We got them here.
And so Mark just chimed in on Twitter at Baltimore Buck. He said, just heard you guys talking, played Villanova this morning on DraftKings, and I just looked at my app, and the bet was voided.
Oh, boy. Well,
interesting. Yeah.
Well, we have Johnny Avello on the show here in about 50 minutes. We'll ask him what's up with that.
Speaking of our guests, let's get to it. Justin Perri going to join the program coming up bottom of the hour. Shot quality bets, always a good resource to have. We'll talk to professional handicapper Bruce Marshall later on in the show as well. So a busy show ahead. Our VSiN Primetime Game of the Night, because we are two college basketball nuts. We've got Nebraska and Arizona in the crown. NBA slate about to get underway. 4 games scheduled to tip off. Utah-Charlotte, as the Charlotte Hornets going off as a 4.5-point favorite. Clippers laying 3.5 against Orlando, Sacramento, Indiana, and Miami, Washington. 63-47. Some live basketball going on right now just down the road from where we sit. Boise State leading George Washington in the crown. We've got a Final Four that'll tip off Saturday night in San Antonio. Some of our early thoughts and what we took away from the weekend that was in college hoops next.
It is.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Keep it rolling here. It is VSiN Primetime. Keep the tweets coming in at Tim Murray, at Matt Youmans 247. We got a couple I want to mention here, but I also want to mention this, Matt. Milwaukee Brewers. Woo! They've gotten off to a good start. 11-1 loss today. Their last 3 games lost 11-1 today to the Royals. 12-3 on Sunday to the Yankees, and your Yankees hit 9 home runs against the Milwaukee Brewers on Saturday. So they have given up, as I do quick math, 43 runs over the last 3 games. Not ideal.
Well, it might be unfair because we're playing the Yankees with those torpedo bats.
Bats.
It feels like slow pitch softball the way things are going in the Bronx right now. I will note, for all the outrage about what the Yankees are doing with the bats, not every player in the Yankees is using those bats. Like Aaron Judge is not using the new bat. You know that, right?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send this video to Justin. We'll get it a little bit later on in the show. Bryson Scott of the Phillies talked about the torpedo bat, and he had an incredible explanation of it and was like, it's not cheating. You basically, and I'll send the clip. We'll play it for you a little bit later. But he broke it down and said, you do all this, you go to this lab, you swing a bunch, and they figure out where your barrel's going to be, and they set the bat that way. You didn't feel like it was cheating whatsoever. But yes, the torpedo bat was all the rage over the weekend, as was Texas Tech blowing a massive lead.
So if you can hit home runs like the Yankees hit them over the weekend, you don't need Garrett Cole, at least right now, right? Because starting pitching is not going to be all that important. Quick update here on the college basketball crown, which apparently not everyone across the nation can bet today. No. That's actually kind of bad news. I hate to hear that. But Boise State up by 21, 68-47 with 8 minutes to go.
All right, a couple of tweets, and you could continue to tweet us. Let us know. By the way, let's shout out Mr. Derek Stevens. They are a proud sponsor of the Crown. I think there's a crown somewhere in the front lobby here of Circa. This was Derek sitting on the throne over there at the MGM Garden Arena. The king and his
of the
throne.
College basketball crown.
There he is. There he is. He's giving out plays. Apparently, he's the crown tout, and went 2-0 today, handing out the candy on social media. So there's Derek, and you saw, if you watched it all today, Circa commercials and Circa on the video board there. 71-48, Boise State with a 23-point lead.
I want to say this about the college basketball crown, too. Bruce Marshall, who's going to be a guest with us later tonight. I know Bruce is watching these games. He loves the minor tournaments, handicaps everything. I love MGM Grand Garden Arena as a college basketball venue. Have you been out there to see a college hoops game? Yeah,
I went this year, yeah.
It's a great spot for college hoops games. The Pac-12 tournament used to be there. UNLV would play some games there off and on over the years. I love the Grand Garden. If you get a chance to go out to this tournament, it's actually worth it because you can get right down close to the court. It's a cool venue. It's easy to get in and out of the MGM. And that's where I think the Mountain West tournament should be playing.
That'd be cool.
Is the MGM Grand Garden.
Boise State, apparently, the way they're playing right now, might agree with you.
Every time Boise comes to Vegas, Coach Leon Rice wants to win. And I know he was approaching this tournament this way because I read a lot about Boise State's approach to this tournament last night before I bet it. But if you get a chance to go out to the MGM, tickets are cheap. It's worthwhile. You're going to see some great college basketball action. Seriously, that's not a cliche either because guys like Eric Dixon at Villanova,
he's playing.
That's worth the price of admission to go out and see the Big East leading scorer. And there's going to be this Boise State team with Tyson Degenhart. He's one of the best players in Boise history. He's lighting it up right now. Broncos up 23 with 6.5 minutes to go. But anyway, I'm really glad they're playing this at MGM Grand Garden. I think that's a much better venue than if you're going to play, even though I love the Thomas and Mack, if you can pack it for college hoops, you're not going to pack it for small tournaments like this, right? So don't play in T-Mobile.
Well, they're going to play, so Saturday and Sunday, the semis and the championship will be played in T-Mobile. But I agree.
Which I think is a bad move.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I think they should play all the games here at MGM Grand Garden because those big arenas, if you can't fill them, it just doesn't feel
you know who I saw up close and personal this year at the Grand Garden Arena? Houston. I saw the team that is now in the Final Four. Dalube on Twitter said, in Colorado, DraftKings and FanDuel took the college basketball crown off the boards, but there are a couple books that still have them up, like ESPN Bet and Bet365. Carol Ann, who gave us a nice little picture with you and Miss Carol Ann, said North Carolina cannot get lines on the Crown Tournament either. Love the show. Tell Matt I said hello.
Carol's awesome.
Justin Gilo said betting on MGM app here in Arizona, no Crown action. Michael in Illinois chimes in, no Crown in Illinois on DraftKings, FanDuel, or Bet365. Well, very interesting. All that.
It's a good day to have Johnny Avello on the show. We can get some answers. Why are these games not up?
73-53, Boise State and George Washington. As earlier today, Matt alluded to it. We had an upset, Matt, a shocker, because we don't see that ever in college basketball anymore.
Not too often.
12-0 for the favorites straight up. Obviously against the spread a little bit different. Texas Tech, thankfully for me, held on for dear life for a cover as they got outscored 18-4, Matt. So we've got the Final Four, got plenty of time to dive into it. Justin Perri going to help us break it down here in just about 10 minutes, but an interesting weekend, needless to say, from the Elite Eight or Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight. And I know you've got some tweets that you're going to pull up regarding this, but man, it was quite the chalky weekend. And I know a lot of books. We had Chuck Esposito on the show on Saturday morning, and I joked with him, Chuck, you still going to be able to put on the lights? He said, yeah, as of now, but a lot of money line parlays coming home all across the board.
Hey, I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit, but not really that embarrassed because it's great to cash tickets. I had a stack of moneyline parlay tickets on favorites over the weekend, and they all cashed because every favorite hit.
Yeah,
you have to adjust your strategy and start playing that way.
I gave out a moneyline parlay on Sunday on the show. I included South Carolina on the women's side, which made me sweat a little bit. But they didn't cover. But guess what they did? The favorite won.
I'll say this: if Purdue had upset Houston Friday night, that would have been bad. That would have blown up 4 or 5 of those money line parlays, and I had Houston single on a money line parlay too, and Purdue put a serious scare into Houston. Florida got a serious scare from Texas Tech. But you're going to get some of those along the way to the Final Four. As you mentioned, Tim, for the first time in history, and the NCAA tournament expanded in 1985. Only twice have we had the number one seeds, all four, get to the Final Four. But for the first time in history, favorites 12-0 straight up in the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. If you parlayed the favorites, the odds were 44-1. That's according to Evan Abrams on Twitter. Favorites have won 14 straight NCAA tournament games. And dogs, all the way through the tournament to now, have won only 12 games total straight up. That's tied for the fewest ever. So it's, I saw some guys, including Greg Hoops Peterson. Do you know the Costos, Nick Costos?
Yeah, Nick, yep.
I saw guys bragging on Twitter last night about, I picked all the number one seeds to go to the Final Four. I told you. Okay. Congratulations for picking all the favorites to get there. They all got there. That doesn't mean you're any kind of handicapping genius picking all the number one seeds to get to the Final Four. I had 2 of the 4. You probably had 3 of the 4. I know a lot of people had 3 of the 4.
I had 3 of the 4, and I had Texas Tech, so I was this close. But I
know
that's life.
I'll just be
Texas Tech almost lost to the Sweet 16, so I can't really complain about it.
Houston and Florida survived scares.
Yep.
The bottom line is tone it down a little bit on the bragging about picking all the number one seeds to get to the final. It's not actually a great handicapping accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, and look, this year I looked at Duke in their region, and you took some.
I never thought Duke was going to lose.
You took some futures on them. I should have to win that region. I thought the region set up very nicely for Duke, and they breezed through it. Arizona, the score in the Sweet 16. I know they got the cover. The Wildcats did, but that game never really in doubt. They dominated Alabama. A bunch of us in the Circa College Hoops Challenge really liked that spot. I thought there would be regression. I'll say this, and we got a break, and we got so much time to talk about it, Matt, but most impressive thing you saw this weekend from the Elite Eight was what?
Probably Duke's performance on both ends of the floor. I think it was. Duke suffocated an Alabama offense to put up 113 points, made 25 three-pointers in the game against BYU. Tied to 65 points, held Mark Sears to 5 points. Duke was not only great on the defensive end of the floor, which we're not used to seeing from Duke teams over the years, Tim. They're more offense than defense, but so efficient on the offensive end as well. I think right now Duke is what you want in a favorite, tournament favorite, a team that's really good on both ends of the floor and has star players, shoots the three, protects the rim. I don't see a flaw in the way Duke plays on either end of the floor. So I think that's been the most impressive thing for me. All the teams that got there have been impressive in different ways. But I think Duke has been impressive in every way.
Malawak, he doesn't make sense. He's 7'2". He can move laterally with guards, and every time Grant Nelson tried to go to the bucket, there he was trying to make a stop at the bucket. So defensively, I was blown away by what we saw from Duke in that Elite Eight. I anticipated regression, but I'll say this, Matt. They went 8 of 32, Alabama did from 3. That wasn't just blind regression. There was a little bit of that, but also when you've got 6'7" guards flying at you like this, it's going to affect your shot. By the way, just a reminder, folks, VSiN Pro, make sure to check out what we've got to offer. You can check it out for as little as $9.99 with our intro offer. We'll continue the college hoops discussion with our friend Justin Perri from Shot Quality next.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime here on a Monday evening alongside Matt Youmans. I'm Tim Murray, 5 days away from the Final Four down in San Antonio, as we discussed, and as many of you know by now, first time since 2008, just the second time since the field expanded to 64 plus in 1985, though we've had all 4 number 1 seeds, and historically speaking, this arguably is the best Final Four we've ever had based off of KenPom data. I know KenPom's not been around forever, but 4 top 10 teams all time per KenPom's numbers in the Final Four. To help us break it down from Shot Quality and Shot Quality Bets, it is Justin Perri, who joins us courtesy of our progressive guest line. Justin, I'll ask you the question I just asked Matt, which is when we look back at the Elite Eight, projecting forward to this weekend, to you, what was the most impressive performance, most impressive thing you took away from this weekend?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you, Tim, Matt, for having me on the show. Most impressive thing I saw this weekend, I think, was Florida coming back from what looked like Texas Tech could have pulled off that upset. I mean, they really leaned on Clayton, and I think that was a big part of how that went down. And I think that's what you got to do when you get into these moments. You want your stars to be able to rise up. But that was probably one of the more unbelievable things. I thought, Duke with Alabama kind of made mincemeat, and that was kind of expected for my data, and Alabama didn't really look the part to me. And Houston suffocating Tennessee was pretty crazy, but that was also just a worse time for Tennessee to go ice cold. And I don't know how I feel about Houston allowing those shots going forward, especially with this big game against Duke coming up. So I'll stick with it. Florida bouncing back, avoiding the big upset. I was pretty certain it was all but done. And they proved it. They pulled it out. They are definitely going to be formidable. I think they can give Auburn a run. I fully understand why this line is where it is right now.
75-66 with about 3 minutes to go, and you thought Texas Tech's not going to blow this now, right? Looked like it was over. And Florida off the charts with its shooting 4 straight three-pointers. Texas Tech missed the front end of a couple one-on-ones. Anytime you see a meltdown, missed free throws are going to play a role in it. Missed free throws and turnovers, and Tech's going to be thinking about that for a long time. Justin, when you look at the 4 teams in the Final Four, who grades out the highest at this point? Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston. And can you talk about Houston a little bit, because that's the best three-point shooting team by percentage in this Final Four. But sometimes when you watch Houston, you're just not blown away by its performance, like Friday night in the game against Purdue.
Yeah, you're spot on, Matt. And I think for us at Shot Quality, Duke is the highest graded team. And I've gone on record, I think even on this show or on VSiN at some point, Duke's the highest graded team we've seen since the inception of ShotQuality.com. They took a little bit of a hit when Flag missed a couple of those games in the ACC tournament. But in terms of what they're able to generate on a per possession basis in our expected numbers right now, sitting at a net of 0.41 per possession. The next team, 0.36, which is Auburn, Florida, 0.34, and Houston, 0.34 as well. So right there behind them. But that is a sizable gap between what is a very, very separated upper echelon in college basketball this year, and then Duke, another level up. So I've been pounding the Duke horn for a while, tried to get some value out of the market on futures. Ultimately, all 1 seeds making it. I don't look too great this season, but the numbers were good. And I think, it's going to be hard to take them down. And for Houston, in terms of, like you said, not being glamorous, I think that comes from the, second or third lowest frequency attacking the rim in all of college basketball, and one of the top 5 slowest paces as well. And how is that going to really do against Duke? I'm not totally sure. I think it really mucked up the works for Tennessee, but Duke should have the brute force to power through it. The rim and 3 rate is never going to excite anyone. The defensive length is so important for them, because if you look at the pure spacing that they allow on the threes that opponents take against them, they're actually allowing pretty poor quality looks based on how far away a defender is. But of course, they make up for that on the wings with their length. So how is that going to factor in when you get NBA size Duke? Could that advantage they've carried the entire tournament that's made everyone so troubled to shoot against them all of a sudden be rendered ineffective? I tend to think so. I'm likely betting Duke and feeling pretty good about it.
Well, just it's a money line parlay, baby. Just bet the favorites. That's all you got to do.
No, you don't even worry.
Money line parlays.
Lay the price. Tim.
Well, I'll say this, Justin. Though, I mean, we'll see what the market ultimately does, but we saw it get down to 4.5 today, back to 5.5 at DraftKings. So if you like Houston, and I'm tantalized by Houston a little bit here, I'm just going to wait. I think if you like Duke, you try to get on this thing as quickly as possible. What's your thoughts on the total here in this one? Because as you alluded to, Duke I thought, we just talked about it. The most impressive thing to me was their defensive performance with Alabama, with their size, with their length. But Houston, they're going to try to bully it up. They've got length as well. You've got the number 1 team in defensive efficiency in Houston, top 5 team in Duke. Got a total of 136.5, played inside the Alamo Dome. Any thoughts on what to see here from a total standpoint?
I kind of lean to the over. I'm not much of a totals better. I think I've bet like 99.8% of my bets this season have been on the spread. So do take this with a little grain of salt. But I do think that in terms of how it is perceived to go, in terms of how I view totals in college basketball, you want to side with a team that's likely going to be able to inflict their will. And that's going to be Duke. They're going to be the team that is likely going to play through flag and knipple and be able to get the types of looks that they want and likely put Houston into catch-up mode at some point. I don't think you ever want to be behind and slowing the game down. It's really tough to do. Houston might be one of the few teams that we've ever seen in college basketball that can actually get away with it. But I do tend to think that Duke's scoring puts the pedal to the metal, and Kelvin Sampson and this team are going to have to score just a little bit. The pace adjust here is not really too crazy. Duke does do a bit better against fast teams, so maybe they struggle a little bit, but they've also looked really good against the best teams, while Houston has actually struggled a bit when they run into the best of the best. And I thought that's kind of how they looked in that Purdue game. I wasn't super impressed. So I had Purdue against the spread. I felt good about it. Shot quality graded as a win, but if Purdue can get those types of looks inside, I think Duke can too.
Justin Perri with us. All right, so let's look at the SEC matchup on the other side. And we have a previous meeting to work with. I recall watching that game, and the Gators lit up the Tigers on Auburn's home floor the first time around, put 90 points on Auburn. How would you handicap the Florida-Auburn matchup?
Yeah, I like this one a lot as well. I do think Auburn is being poorly represented due to some of that late season play where they maybe put their feet up a little bit and cruised in some of those final games of the season. And they had that 1 seed locked up. Anyone who studies bracketology, they probably have some smart guys on their staff telling them, all right, we've all but gotten that 1 seed home. All that needs to happen essentially is not having Janai Broome get hurt, because who knows how the committee views that. Now, talking about that previous game, yeah, Florida lit them up, shot a little bit out of their socks in the first half there, scored 38 points in the first and 43 in the second. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for them to get it done again. Shot quality rated that as a win for Auburn. So I think, getting the points, taking a couple points with Bruce Pearl and Janai Broome, to me is too good of an offer to pass up. I'll likely also take the beneficial price on the money line here. I expect some points, though. Total could go high again. 170 points is not off the board.
Tim, we have a final in the college basketball crown. I'm happy. You're happy with this one. Over. Boise State -8 to play for me, and over the total to play for you. Boise wins at 89-59 over George Washington.
Yes, indeed. So we will see if the over trend continues here on that one. So right now, if it were to be Auburn and Duke, as you're going to bet it, is there a number? Would you be looking right now to bet Duke? You just think at this point, just in the final minute we have with you, they're just playing at that elite of a level?
I'm almost mad I didn't play it, 6 weeks ago, because yes, and it felt like, all right, well, are they going to run the gauntlet? We saw the numbers coming out of Torvik. The expected wins from a team this good in the tournament was over 5. Over 5. That means getting to the Final Four still is basically, if they lose this game, it's a disappointing season, in my opinion, for Duke. They have to get to the championship game. Losing in the championship game is maybe excusable. Maybe. So, yeah, I think you can trust them. I think that we've barely even seen them scratch the surface of what they can really be. The Alabama barely challenged them. I think they're going to get a challenge here with Houston, and you're going to see that they can even go further. I don't think winning by double digits is off the table against any team in college basketball right now for Duke. So, yeah, I like it. I feel good about it. I've been saying they're the best team our ratings have ever seen for a week and a half, and I don't have my life savings on them to win it all. So, what good am I really? No, thank you for having me.
He's Justin Perri. Always appreciate your insight, Justin. Follow him on social media at Justin Perri. 8 shot quality bets and shot quality as well. Always a great resource this time of year. As Matt mentioned, we got a final in the CBB Crown. We'll get you updated on everything you need to know what's going on in the NBA and college hoops next.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Keep it rolling here. It is VSiN PrimeTime alongside Matt Youmans. I'm Tim Murray. We've got to get you updated on the Circa College Hoops Challenge. As you know, like in Rocky IV when he started to bleed a little bit, Ivan Drago, Paul Stone apparently is human. He did not go perfect in the Elite Eight, and he's given us minions, more so JVT, but giving us a slight glimmer of hope to wrap things up here and to snag the number one spot.
He looked at JVT and he said, "I must break you." And JVT didn't flinch.
He didn't.
Right? He's still fighting, and he's down 2 points.
If I can change, you can change. That's what JVT said.
Everybody can change. 2 points down, 3 plays to go. 2 of those will be best bets.
Yep.
You get an extra half point up for grabs. Paul Stone in first, Circa College Hoops Challenge through 47 plays. JVT second, Tim Murray third, Will Hill fourth. I'm in fifth, tied with Aaron Moore after I went 0-3 on the Saturday and Sunday games. Very disappointing. Boy, how bad was that Tennessee play? That was my best bet yesterday against Houston. 3 minutes into the game, I knew the Vols were dead. I think you stayed away from that game, right?
I did. You know what's funny is
that was that our top consensus play?
It was 8 of the 15 contestants had Tennessee plus 4.5, and it was a good number.
Good number,
right? It was 4.5.
Bad bet.
2.5 is where it closed, and it's funny, Matt, because I initially had it on the 3 plays, and I said, you know what? And by the way, we don't see any of the plays, but I just had a feeling inside. I was like, this is going to be a very popular play with the market. Mm-hmm. And it was a little game theory, so I took it off, and I was a bit lucky there. So I was able to go 3-0 in the Elite Eight. So more so fighting with JVT for that $200 to Dom DeMarco's.
Which valuable, by the way.
Which is where I'll be on Wednesday. Looking forward to
I'll be out there a week from today.
Looking forward
to the championship games. You're going to be out there on the Jim Feist handicapping show.
Looking forward to that.
Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar on West Charleston. Who are you going to be on the show with aside from Jim Feist?
I don't know. I gotta check in on that. I'm not sure. But there are our standings right now. Paul Stone still the heavy favorite to take care of business, but as Matt alluded to, still to come, 2 picks for the Final Four out of 4 possible options, side or total, and a best bet, and those will be revealed on Friday's VSiN Primetime with Matt and JVT. And then we will reveal the Monday plays on VSiN.com. And I imagine you will break those down prior to tip-off. But Paul Stone right now, 28-18-1, 6-1-1 best bet record, 31.5 points, 2 points clear of JVT. I did the math, Matt. All I have to do is go undefeated, and Paul needs to go winless, and I could catch him.
Is that right?
I've got a chance, a glimmer of hope.
Oh, you got a chance.
But as someone told me, a very wise person, there's nothing worse than hope. So I think I'm fighting with JVT for that Dom DeMarco's gift card.
Tim, the moment you give up, great things can happen.
Man, you're like a philosopher over there. So
That's
there you go. It's been a lot of fun.
How many Florida fans gave up? It's over. I heard this in the book at the Westgate Saturday. Down 9, 3 minutes ago. It's over. That's it. Give up. Something great happens for the Florida Gators. It looked like they were dead in that game. You know, Greg Hoops Peterson, 19-26-2. And Greg was bragging about all 4 number 1 seeds being in his bracket in the Final Four last night. Nice accomplishment on your bracket, but you got to pick it up game by game. Bobby Brubeck, Eli Hershkovich, Jim Root, Wes Reynolds, Chris Massaro, Ron Boyles, all down there too. But let's see, we've got all but 4 handicappers in this contest, I believe. All but 5 over 500. So even though the results have not been great, actually, the past 2 weeks in the tournament with so many favorites hitting. We still got 10 of the 15 handicappers over 500. Best bets record, not that impressive. Over throughout the tournament, and I believe now has slipped to 52, 59, and 6 overall. Let's see. The overall record for all 15 handicappers in this tournament, 7 games over 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was the Ole Miss Michigan State game was quite the fascinating breakdown because it went off 3 in our contest, and that was a big game of contention. A lot of us had Ole Miss. A lot of us had Michigan State. I want to say
split down the middle.
I think it was like 5-5 or 6-6, something like that. And that 3. Let me ask you this because I discussed it on Saturday.
You tweeted about it. Yeah.
Bad beat or not?
No. Anybody who thinks that's a bad beat doesn't know anything
Peterson
about it.
said it was.
He doesn't know. He hasn't been around betting as long as we have.
39 minutes at 40 seconds, they were the right. And I said, here's the thing. Tonight on Van Pelt Center, I guarantee you, if he makes mention of it, it'll be that it was not a bad beat. It was the right side coming home.
Anybody who says that's a bad beat doesn't know how to define what a bad beat is, Tim. Ole Miss controlled that game for basically, 38 minutes? Ole Miss was covering for how much time on the game?
39 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay. So if the side you played was only covering for 20 seconds out of 40 minutes, no, it was not a bad beat. Jeez.
By the way.
You know what a bad beat was? What SPP shows on the intro to his show, when Northwestern, Ohio State football, Northwestern was covering for all 60 minutes. All 60. The only time Ohio State covered was after time expired when the fumble was recovered in the end zone. That's the definition of a bad beat. What happened in the Ole Miss Michigan State game? No. And by the way, most of us bet Ole Miss plus 3.5 or 4.
Yeah, I had 4.
And it felt like a deserved cover. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. You don't always get what you deserve. But that was really unfortunate the way that game worked out. I would say this in the Circus Sports book, when that shot dropped, it deadened on the back flat part of the rim and then rolls, had backspin and spun. People were going berserk in here. Win or lose, that was one of the best finishes to a tournament game. But no, it was not a bad beat. I saw you put up the Twitter poll on that, right?
It was a little split, more so on the no. I think we had almost 500 folks chime in on it, and some people got mad at me. Hey, what are you doing? What are you? I was like, I was just asking a question. I had one person, I sent you the tweet, telling me that, this is why you don't listen to Tim Murray. He's complaining about bad beats. I was like, where am I complaining? I bet Ole Miss. So,
I had Ole Miss too. Ole Miss plus 3.5.
I texted you on
contest plus 3
on Friday night. I said
it's going to be a shame if Ole Miss didn't cover that game. Let's throw up the graphic real quick of the best bets in the Circuit College Hoops Challenge, presented by Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar. Tim Murray's going to be there at noon Wednesday for the big show with Jim Feist, Tommy Canale, and another guest. Paul Stone at the top here, 6-1-1 against the spread. Paul, what was he? He started 6-0.
Started 6-0. He had Michigan State minus a 3, which was a push, and then he had Alabama plus the 7, which obviously did not come home.
There. JVT, Tim Murray, Ron Boyles, all 5-3. I am at 4-3-1. I went 0-1-1 on the 2 best bets over the weekend. Aaron Moore, 4-4. David Deneen, 4-4. There you go. Dom DeMarco's best bets leaderboard.
All right. Once again, we have some breaking news for the St. John's Red Storm. How about this? Bryce Hopkins headed to the Johnnies.
I saw that earlier today. I don't know if they're trying to. I actually saw that a few hours ago on Twitter.
I think John Rothstein had it on his podcast. I want to say. I believe was the report out there.
So you got Jason St. John from Arizona State, who's not going to be playing tonight for the Sun Devils. He's on the way to St. John's. Bryce Hopkins on the way to St. John's.
Yep.
Now, we know you got a billionaire booster behind the NIL fund at St. John's.
Yeah, Justin Perri.
Huh?
Justin Perri, we just sat on. Big Red Storm guy.
Mike Rupaldo, horse trainer, is one of them. But Rick Pitino's got basically all the money he wants to recruit players. And you got to think Pitino's probably a little bit upset the way the season ended.
Did he get some shooters?
Going to try to get some revenge in 2025, 2026, and find somebody who can make a 3 after shooting, 2 for 22?
Yes.
From 3 and lost to Arkansas. So St. John's is reloading, and it looks like Donovan Dent, the point guard from New Mexico, is on the way to UCLA. And the transfer portal, the latest I saw from the field of 68. The transfer portal already has 1,600 players in it. And there's no salary cap in college basketball.
No, there is not. No, there is not. A couple of the Maryland pieces that you anticipated to go, Jacoby Gillespie, Rodney Rice both going into the portal today. We can get Kevin Willard on the show. He's in town. He's checking out the Crown for his new program there in Villanova. Hey, folks, take your betting to the next level with First Bet, whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream Park, or the road to the Kentucky Derby and Preakness. First Bet puts the action at your fingertips. Sign up now at firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com, and use the promo code VSiN200. You can score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today. Firstbet.com.
Give you a little bit more info on this game later. Doug Kazarian, who is out here in the Circus Sportsbook behind us, formerly of ESPN and Only Players Doug, loved the Celtics tonight. Celtics -4. He's all over this. Boston at Memphis. I think his buddy Chris Massaro signed off on it, but Doug loves the bet. Quick update on that game. Celtics 21, Grizzlies 20.
Oh, God.
So we'll update this later.
Angry tweets coming from @RealGage very soon. Grizzlies up 1 on the Celtics. Johnny Avello on how the books fared this weekend in the NCAA tournament. He joins us next.